Good day, beautiful people. I hope everybody is well. Akwaba to my live. This is Efia Tekyi-Annan, and today I am discussing Ghana's big week. Okay, we're talking about the Black Stars, diaspora power, traditional leadership, women's leadership, Ghana's global moment, and I'm really, really excited to be here to talk to you guys about this because obviously, being a Ghanaian, I had to come and tell you guys what is going on around here. All right. So, this wasn't just about events, it wasn't just about football. It was a lot about Ghanaian pride, African identity, sports, culture, royalty, politics, womanhood, and the diaspora all showing up at once. Okay. The question here is that what do these moments mean for the Ghanaians at home and abroad? These are questions we got to ask. What does that really mean for us? Right? So, Ghana was visible last week with our World Cup debut against Panama. Now, your girl, of course, I was at the game, and I'm going to get into it a little bit more shortly to let you guys kind of know what was happening. But it was huge. There was a lot of people there, okay, and a lot of people in town who flew in. I'm not going to say from Africa because we already know, we talked about the fact that a lot of Africans did not have access to this World Cup. Their visas were denied, but there were a lot of people from the diaspora who showed up. So people coming in from the UK, from the US, all over Canada to be in Toronto. But what was also amazing was the fact that our vice president of Ghana was also present. Okay. Um, the honorable, the honorable vice president had come into town. And I was lucky enough to be with the group of Ghanaian Canadian Association and get to meet her at the airport, at Pearson Airport, to welcome her in with a small, intimate group of people. I wish I had all these videos and stuff to show you guys, but my computer is full, unfortunately. But I definitely want you guys to go and check me out on Instagram, and that is Fifi the Queen 92. So that's FIFITHAQUEEN 92 on Instagram, and that's where you guys can see a lot of the reels that I did and the capturing a lot of the moments and the content, because it was a hell of a week. All right. So, as I mentioned, our vice president was Madame Na, was Nana, sorry, was in town. And she came in for various different events. She had a few speaking engagements to attend to, as well as, hosting the Ghanaian community at a Ghanaian church in the Jane and Finch area, where she opened up the floor for questions from the audience, right? It was amazing to see, because as a woman who has my own aspirations in the future, it was amazing to see somebody who is like trailblazing. This is the first female vice president ever. Okay, that is huge. And by my side, or I was by her side, I would say, was the vice president of the Ghanaian Canadian Association, Ms. Juliet Opoku. And just to see what they're doing and how strong they are, they're allowing women, giving women the understanding and the, you know, the ability to dream, to see themselves in places, right? And so as a young woman, I think I consider myself to be a young woman in that category. I still have some growing to do. I would say that I am, you know, aspiring to be in the positions that they find themselves in, right? And so it's cool to see that and how they command the spaces that they're in. And we were also with the Honorable High Commissioner, and that is also a woman. She's also a woman. And just to see the power there, just to see what they represent, right? It was really, really cool to see. So fast forward, I actually went to Sankofa Square, which is formerly Young and Dundas. And for those of you who don't know the history behind that, I'll give it to you very quickly. During COVID, after the murder of George Floyd, as many of you Americans would remember that time frame, a lot of stuff came out of Canada where we were renaming places that was named after slave owners or people who opposed the abolishment of slavery. And Young and Dundas actually was renamed to Sankofa Square. And there was a lot of debate about this, and there's still some people refusing to call it Sankofa Square, but they can go and do whatever they want to do. It's officially named that. And the whole idea behind Sankofa, for those of you who don't know, it's in a Dinka symbol, which means to go back and fetch it. So it's the idea of looking to your past in order to inform your future to move forward, right? You cannot forget things that have happened to you. You cannot forget your lessons in the past when moving forward. So they've named this square, appropriately so, Sankofa Square. And this is the first year anniversary, the 1 year anniversary of the square, which will be happening in August. And so they had a couple of activations last week, including in the hype for the World Cup games. So we had an opportunity to vend. I have my shea butter business that I'm launching. And so I started my day off there, setting up my booth. Quickly did that. Shout out to my cousin who was able to support me with that. Ran on over to Pearson Airport to meet the vice president. And if that wasn't enough for the day, we also moved on over to the private side of the airport where we welcomed our Asantehene, okay, Otumfo Osetutu II. And he is the Ashanti king. So for those of you who don't know about Africa and the tribalism and things that goes on there, he is the king of the Ashanti people. And the Ashanti people are one of the largest tribes in Africa, in modern day Ghana, okay? And so you should have seen the crowd that gathered outside to meet this man, this king, right? People were looking for this once in a lifetime opportunity to see their king, their tribal king, right? What I did notice was I feel like there was more enthusiasm around meeting the king than there was for the vice president. There's a couple of things as to why that might have happened. One being that the VP is somebody who's elected. So if you don't agree with the NDC, which is the party that she's with, maybe you wouldn't have come, even though she's the vice president. Yeah, it was just, I just saw a huge difference in the amount of people that were there, but that's neither here nor there. We still showed up. We still, gave them a warm welcome. And so he had a lot of engagements that he did over the week that he was here. And so that was, him coming through the airport, with his entourage, because the king, he doesn't travel alone. So there's that. Came with his entourage. They went over to one of the nice hotels downtown Toronto, Fairmont, York. Beautiful hotel. And then from there, we whisked it right back downtown to go to Delta Hotel because we are welcoming our Black Stars. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana's Black Stars came into town on Monday last week for their game on Wednesday against Panama. So we got to get back down, and there was so many videos of, like I said, follow me on Instagram. I'll show you all of those images. It was so interesting to see how enthusiastic Ghanaians were. Okay, people were thinking that, oh, you know what? There's not plenty of even Ghanaians in Ghana. We're not expecting to see the scenes coming out of Toronto. There was Jama, Ajwa dancer, the people who do this thing, the Ajwa dancers. It was really amazing to see the support that the Black Stars got inside the hotel, outside the hotel, at Sankofa Square. It was amazing. We welcomed them in with beats, with dancing, with our jerseys. And it was very cool and collected and calm. And one of the things that the police and security team also mentioned was that they were shocked by how many people were there, but how peaceful and respectful we were. And I don't know why they would necessarily say that they were shocked by it, but in case you guys don't know, Ghanaians are known to be very peaceful people. Our country is one of the countries that is known for its peace and its understanding and, freedoms. So that was carried over into the diaspora. And it was really an honor to kind of be in this space. And, at that time, I still didn't know if I was going to the game or not. So your girl did not know if I was going to the game. FIFA had released some tickets. We're doing a lottery thing for tickets. And even those tickets were $300, right? And I spoke to you guys about the Ghanaian government High Commission also releasing some free tickets because they thought it was more cost efficient for them to allow fans in Ghana to go to the game rather than ship in fans from Ghana, which would have cost them about $11,000 per fan. So their idea was to just give the tickets away. We won't really talk about what all happened with that because There was some, remember I talked about there was a lot of secrecy around that stuff. So data collection was definitely evident. What they asked for was everyone to send their email with their names and everything. And mind you, people don't like really doing census stuff, right? For people to collect their information. But when there is tickets on the line to a World Cup game, a once in a lifetime opportunity, people who don't even watch football, not one day, were sending their information in. People who don't even watch football, let me say that again. People who don't even watch football, not one day in their life, they were sending their information in to get tickets. So this was a big announcement that came out. I think I read something, they said over 50,000 people applied. Okay. And from my understanding, there was only 1,000 tickets to be given out anyway, but 50,000 people. So you can imagine the data collected on that. Okay. You can only imagine what that's going to do for whoever needs it. Right. But the tickets were given to some certain people. I feel like the way in which they disseminated the tickets was very secretive. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I don't know if you guys want to put that in the chat, what you guys think, how that went. Did you put your name in the draw to get tickets? Were you successful? I mean, there's more games. Ghana will play England tomorrow in Boston. So for our Americans, brothers and sisters, were you guys able to get tickets to the game? Was it hard? How were your high commissions? Did they deal with that well or not? I really would love to hear about that in the comments. And so, yeah, it was a cool experience. We headed back down to Sankofa Square after that. I ended out my day there. And let me just tell you, I was there listening to music, doing my dance, my 1-2 step, my shoulder. And then MC Ebon saw me and he called me to the middle. Now, you know, your girl never turns down a dance battle ever. I'm trying to grow up and stop doing that. But until then, I was called to the middle. And so, you know, I had to do my thing. So I was there, I was doing it, and it was very interesting. Because what if I lied to my employers and told them I was sick? I definitely ended up all over TikTok, all over Instagram. Okay. Everybody saw. I had aunties coming up to me on the Wednesday, the game day, saying, "Hey, you look familiar. Are you that girl?" And I said, "Oh my days." Right. So just imagine, right? Imagine I had lied and called in sick. Like I would have been all over the internet over here in Toronto, right? But thank God I did the right thing and I took the day off. But it was very interesting. It was just a lot. It felt like a lot. The atmosphere was very ready. It was electric. Ghanaians were here. We were celebrating. And it was cool. Like the news was covering it. CTV was there. TSN was there. And we had Panamanians come to the actual hotel. I don't know why they wanted to come and get beat early. Like they were showing up to the hotel with their flags, with their jerseys. And it was very interesting, but everything remained peaceful. We were super cool with them, as we always are. And that was just Monday. Okay. That was just Monday. So the next day, the Asantehene, so Tumfo or Setu to the second, held a power breakfast brunch event where people had to pay around $200, which $200 to be in this room. And I'm a big believer that sometimes like the $200 it actually is worth it, because you never know who you're going to meet in those rooms. You never know what networking opportunities are there. So sometimes it is worth it to pay such a steep price, you know, because what you get from it could be invaluable. So he had this power brunch, and from what I heard, it was informative. People definitely showed up. He came with his entourage. There was other big businessmen in the room, and it was an opportunity for people to really talk business with other business folks, right? And so from my understanding, it was very successful, right? Now, let's fast forward to Wednesday, game day. Ghana, we took the train downtown, the GO train. Did you guys know that the GO train was a efficient way to get downtown for the low? I didn't know that. So I definitely tried it for the first time. It was very super quick, around less than $9 to get all the way downtown. So I didn't have to pay for parking and have to figure out any of that stuff. The atmosphere was really cool. There was fans on the way down there. The Panamanians were out there ready. They had their jerseys and stuff. And it was just really cool to see. We headed to the hotel, Delta Hotel, and The security team there was really nice. Because I was working with the Ghanaian Canadian Association, I had some access to spaces where I could get content and things like that. I definitely will show you a different time because I really want you guys to see it. I'll find a way to get this as an asset so you guys can see. Um, but it was really, really cool to see it. People were there cheering on the team. Asamoah Gyan, if you guys remember, Asamoah Gyan is football, Ghanaian football royalty, okay? And he's actually a really cool, like, cool guy, like a Joker type thing. Like, he's a nice, like, Joker in the best way, like, very free, very nice, down to earth. He kept coming to check the fans. He was allowing for photos, questions, things like that. And that's what we love to see, right? We love to see down to earth stars, right? And it's hard. I can say that you don't always have to be on, but it was very nice to know that he was willing to be there for his fans and take pictures with them and, you know, allow them to also enjoy the moment with him. So we were there until about 5 o'clock. There's like a parade that was going downtown to the stadium. And so we ended up not joining the parade. Unfortunately, we were at the hotel waiting for a friend of ours who was part of the team stuff to get down to the stadium. But from what I've seen the videos, it was amazing. Okay, the amount of people who showed up to walk from Stanley Park all the way to BMO Stadium. Okay, and when I'm talking about people who were not going in the actual stadium, people who did not have tickets to the game were there. Okay, they were there marching, singing loudly with pride. Okay, and they did their thing, and it was all over the news. Okay, Ghanaians took over Toronto. So now I get to the stadium about 5 minutes before kickoff, which sucked because I wanted to be there a little bit earlier to kind of bask in the ambiance and just be around to get more content, but it didn't work out that way, unfortunately. But I did get there before the game started, right? And thankfully, I was upgraded to VIP. VIP, okay? So I got to be in a suite, and you know, it was an interesting thing. Like, it was funny because my kids, I had only gotten one ticket, and I know my family really wanted to be there, so I was there for them, you know, like I was doing my FaceTimes to them so they could kind of be a part of it. But I was definitely in the VIP section, and it was really cool. It was a cool experience. We were in the box. I mean, I definitely wanted to be with the fans, like the proper fans, because I found in the VIP box, it was just people, like random people. They weren't really cheering for anyone. They were kind of just there, you know. But it was really a cool experience. Thanks to one of my coworkers, she hooked it up. I was able to get the VIP tickets for the low. So got in there, and just when we scored, like Ghana waited to the 94th minute, I think it was, to score. It was like, are we gonna Panama too? Like, I was shocked because Panama. Okay, so Panamanians, they have money because they were in the stadium. We didn't see them outside. There was no parade that I saw. I mean, I think I heard there was something, but not as big as ours. But they have the money. They're the ones paying the 450, the 600, the 800, the 1,200 to be in the stadium. When I got in the stadium, the amount of red I saw, I was like, oh my days. Like, I'm thinking this is gonna be a Ghana home game, and it was not. It was not. There was like 10 of us. I'm exaggerating. There was more than 10, maybe 20. I'm joking. There was more than 20, but it was like, let's do it ratio wise. It was like 10 to like 80. Okay, people from Panama. Okay, and they were there cheering for their team and giving us the ole, 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 ole. And we're like, Ghana trying to hijack their chair, you know. But it was friendly, you know. It was a friendly game. It was really great to see. I feel like things remained peaceful. Ghana gave us a heart attack. And one thing, as a former footballer, like for those of you guys who do not know, I actually played football until I was in university. I played for my varsity university team, and football was life at some point for me. So I take everything personally. When I'm watching there, I'm analyzing the game. Pass the ball out here. The midfielder should have made a run. It's not just like, yeah, score. Like, it's not that for me. I'm actually like very invested in the game. And Ghana decided to play a defensive game against Panama, which was disappointing because Panama wasn't a team that should be giving Ghana as much trouble as they did. And shout out to the Panamanian. The people from Panama. Let me stop struggling. The people from Panama. Shout out to them because they definitely came out to play. They definitely gave us a run for our monies. Okay, it was stressful at times. Okay, we ended up pulling through at the end there. Urink ended up scoring in the 94th minute, as I mentioned, and the stadium went wild. And we're doing our kalika, 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 right? Our celebrations, and we pulled through. But what I'm nervous about is that we are playing England, the colonizer who colonized our country tomorrow. And they are a great team. Okay? An absolute great team. And so I'm wondering, what is that going to look like for Ghana? Now, it's being played in Boston, so there's going to be watch parties. There's some going down at Downsview, Zawadi Farms on Wednesday. Tomorrow, I may be hosting. Oh, did I say Wednesday? I meant Tuesday. Tuesday's the game. I am supposed to be hosting tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. Just a lot going on. I'm also going to be hosting on Saturday. I think Saturday is going to be a huge time, dependent on how the game goes tomorrow. I think Saturday's game against Croatia is going to be huge. Why? Because it's a weekend. People can actually be outside, celebrate, and it's going to be an amazing time, I think. I'll be hosting for sure that day. So you guys come and check me out at Zawadi Farms, Downsview from, I think it's 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go tomorrow. I'm gonna go down to Zawadi Farms and I'm gonna join with the rest of the Ghanaians and cheer for our team and hope for the best. The funny thing about football is if Ghana had tied Panama 0-0, it would have been a loss for Ghana. Okay. That was a game that we should have won. I predicted 3-1. We barely escaped with 1. Okay. Fix up, guys. We got to talk. If Ghana ties England, however, that's a win for Ghana. Okay. Do you guys understand? Or for y'all who don't play football, a tie against a team that you're supposed to beat is a loss. A tie against a team that's supposed to beat you is a win. Okay. So we'll take the 1 point from that. So I just need Ghana to do what it do. Do what it do. I need Ghana to come out and give it their all. This team, it's a little bit like different. A couple of years back, we had all these big name stars and Asamoah John was there. Essien was there. Stephen Apia was there. The Ayu brothers were there. We had a lot of big name footballers. This time they're a little bit more low key. And one thing I'll say is that they look very young. These men look like they very young, and it's a lot of pressure to put on. And the professional athletes, they get paid to actually play, right? So this is what they do for a living. So, I mean, they're used to pressure situations, but this is the world stage, okay? The world stage. And while I'm mentioning them playing England, what's important to note about this World Cup, I believe on almost every single team, there are Black people from the diaspora on the teams, okay? I'm talking about almost the entire English team is Black. I'm talking about the whole Panama team is almost Black. I am talking about the Canadian national team. Almost everybody is Black, is African, okay? The captain of the Austrian team is Black. What does that mean, folks? That means that our brothers are in their colonizer countries playing for the colonizers, right? And I'm conflicted about that because your parents came from somewhere. You came from somewhere. We're talking about like Alphonse Davies, for instance. He plays on Canada's national team. He was born in Liberia. And he wasn't born in Liberia. His parents are from Liberia. He was born in Ghana in a refugee camp and moved to Canada when he was 5 years old. But he identifies as a Canadian and represents the Canadian national team, right? The issue I have with this stuff is when things go wrong, people are so quick to say deport, or be calling Black people monkeys and all these other things. The Black people in Europe who play football receive the most racial abuse ever, okay? But when it comes down in time to play, they play for these teams, for these countries. And to me, there needs to be more investment put in these players for them to actually want to come home and play, because these other countries are investing in their athletes. They are putting money towards training them, to coaches and to recovery and all these things. And so we're asking our talent who's gone abroad to play to come home and play for us, but we have not invested the time, effort, or money necessary to make them feel like we actually have a viable chance. This relates to you all when we're talking about NCAA teams, right? The historically black colleges, HBCUs, they don't typically do well when it comes to sports like basketball and football, right? And that's because Black talent is playing for other universities, right? It takes somebody who's really about their people, about their culture, to say, I could go to Duke, D1, but I choose to go to Howard because it's important to me that we bring our talent to where people look like us, respect us, and are rooting for us. It takes a certain amount of sacrifice, and it's going to be a sacrifice for the first couple of athletes who do those things, who could have go to a top D1 school, to go to an HBCU and say, I'm here for the furtherance of my people rather than my individual benefit, right? And why does that matter? Because with them doing that, they bring other people. They show other people that this is a viable option for you, right? And so that's what's needed in the World Cup as well. We need our big name players to go home and play for their countries, their family, their mother, their father's countries. Okay? Because just like we're seeing in the world, when you remove Africa from the equation, economies crumble, countries crumble. France is crumbling. France has gone scattering around the rest of Africa trying to hear who can, to find someone to listen to, join back with them, because they need us. It's time for us to show our greatness and stop loaning our talents to people who don't want us. Okay? And to our home countries, invest in your talent, invest in your natural resources, invest in things that make our country as great, our continent as great as we know it to be, as everybody else sees it to be. Okay? That is what is needed. All right? So let's see what happens. England versus Ghana. Put your predictions in the chat, and not too much on Ghana. Not too much on Ghana. Okay? Ghana, we just need one. Okay? We just need one goal, guys. One goal. Make us proud, boys. All right? So anyways, beyond the World Cup stuff, the VP, as I mentioned, she held her Madame Jane Nana Poku Ajimai. She held her town hall at the church in Jane and Finch area. And she came and she was speaking. She's feisty, and I love it. Like, it was cool because when we met her at the airport, she's shaking everybody's hand and she gave me a hug. And I'm like, yes, like, you don't even know how much that did for me, right? Like, these are some of the things I'm aspiring to do. You know what I mean? And so it was great. It was great to see and great to feel. But she held her town hall, and as I was saying, she's a little bit spicy. There was questions that were coming in around, hey, like, I live in Canada. I want my driver's license in Ghana. Can I get my driver's license here? And when is that going to be made available? And she came and she said, well, we'll look into it, but I don't know. Can you get your Canadian driver's license in Ghana? And everyone's like, oh, hey. She cleared that question. She cleared that question. She was just straight up like, we don't, like, what are you guys asking? The same things that you guys can't do from Canada in Canada. Why do you think that we should be doing it in Ghana? You know? But yeah, I definitely appreciated the opportunity. I got to read a land acknowledgement and then also ask a question about the diaspora. A lot of us are wanting to move back to Africa. Our parents left Africa for opportunity, and a lot of us are trying to move back to Africa for opportunity, right? Myself included. And I was asking questions about what's the pathway for us to do that, for us to feel like there is a way. People go to Ghana, people go to Africa for 2 years and it doesn't work and they come back. We want sustainability. We want clear pathways. We want the government to, support that transition, because we're bringing skills. We're not just coming to come in dirty December and just be chilling. No, we're coming to actually bring investments and help make our continent better, right? And so just looking to see what that looks like. So then I have to sneeze. Achoo! Bless me, thank you. So it was actually quite interesting. The next day, the Asantehene was actually back at Sankofa Square, and they held a big rally, right? Where people came down. I believe actually it was game day too. They came down and people were able to come. People who weren't able to go to the airport or who didn't know where the chief was staying, the king was staying, were able to come to Sankofa Square, and everybody came in their beautiful kente print. We saw other queen mothers and chiefs there in support of. It was just a beautiful sight, and the thing about Toronto, because it's so diverse, you have people just being around, just watching, just being enthralled by the energy, just to see all of us in our cultural wear and stuff. And lots of comments about, wow, like Ghanaian culture is actually very beautiful, right? And just putting us on the main stage was huge, you know? So I really liked being a part of that. I'm exhausted. I'm not going to lie. I'm exhausted. Last week was very tiring, but it was just an amazing thing to be a part of. And I'm so happy that I was in town and that I got to participate in this. Ghana is full of culture and vibrance, and it's time that we amplify our voices. Okay. So yes, that was a really, really cool thing to see and be a part of. So, what are the main things here? People showed up for football, people showed up for the culture, people showed up for royalty, and people showed up for Ghanaian pride. So, the question that needs to be asked is, what happens after the celebrations? What are the pathways for diaspora youth to connect with Ghana, as I mentioned? What are the opportunities for Ghanaian Canadian entrepreneurs? What supports exist for people who want to invest in Ghana? I think we're always talking about real estate, real estate, real estate. We're talking about real estate all the time, but it's not just about buying property. How else can we invest in Ghana, right? How is Ghana engaging the second generation and third generation of diaspora youth, right? This is a lot of the work that I'm doing in being a diaspora strategist, in the identity work, community identity work that I do with my own organization, Roots of Empowerment, and reconnecting Black people with their roots. Make sure you guys hit me up in the comments. We'll talk. I've written my own workbook that I use to educate Black youth who are second generation, third generation Canadians or diasporans, because there's a disconnect, right, in culture, right? It's so important that we reconnect our youth with where their families are from, right? Because we've come so far away from that, and that's how we're seeing the deterioration of our values, right? We're taking on Western values, and we just see how it's crumbling our communities, right? So that reconnection is definitely needed. And so I'm doing work with schools and communities based off that. And so if you're interested in learning more, please message me in the comments. I'll reach out. If you would like it to come into your community, that's in the US, Canada, all over the world. Anywhere where Black people exist outside of the continent of Africa, this work is beneficial and it's necessary, right? I'll talk more about it one day because I think it's very important. As we are the Diaspora News Channel, the African Diaspora News Channel, I think it's important that I talk more about that work that I'm doing, and how we can show up for each other and help to bridge the gap, right? So, guys, last week was busy. This week is going to be even busier. I will definitely get back to you towards the end of the week with updates about what has happened. You'll know by how my energy is whether Ghana did what was needed or they didn't. Okay, folks? So let's hope for the best. Thank you all for watching. I'm very happy to see people on this live to come and hear about football. I know with this channel, it's not typical to be speaking about football in this way. In North America, we call it soccer, but it's football. And so thank you for indulging me in this. This is something I deeply care about. And there are ties to the diaspora, right? There's ties to those relevant conversations. And I really want to make sure that we're bringing it and looking at it from all different aspects. All right. So Ghana had a big week, but the bigger story is that the diaspora is ready. All right. Ready to show up, ready to connect, and ready to be part of Ghana's future. So with that being said, peace and love. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.